Well, just think about Hollywood for a second. I know this is people mention this a lot, but there's a point here, I think, worth noting. Hollywood, you've got the most physically attractive people you can find, and they marry each other. They're the richest, wealthiest, most famous, most attractive people on earth, and they get married. And I don't know what the average marriage length is for a Hollywood marriage, but it's got to be just like a couple years. I mean, some of them last like 70 hours. Those are my favorite. It's like, what in the world? It was like, it didn't even last a weekend. Like, seriously? But you know what I'm talking about, right? Hollywood marriages don't last very long. Everybody with me? Okay, think about this. There you've got fame, wealth, and physical attraction, and the marriages explode before too long. At least a lot of them do. What's going on there? Well, I think a lot of times people, when they're in a very single state of life, think, well, that's what you want: chemistry, you want physical attraction, you want maybe some money. And if you just had those things in place, the marriage would be successful. And it's not true. And I remember hearing years and years ago a pastor say that he said oftentimes people who are single put physical attraction right up here, and chemistry and kind of the way the person makes you feel when you're around them is kind of way up, like really important. And they take the person's character and they put it down here on the scale. And he said, when people actually get married, he said, what you'll find is the importance of these two things shifts into reverse to where the character of the person you're married to ends up mattering 100 times more than the way their skin looks or something like this, you know? And so it's just incredibly profound wisdom here, which is our culture says that physical attraction, wealth, and chemistry is what you're supposed to be looking for. That's what you're supposed to find. And then they demonstrate through their own failures that that's actually not where the answers are. And it's actually a person's humility and joy and character and servanthood. Those are the things in the end that end up being the most attractive about a person after you've been around them for a period of time. And so that's a wonderful picture here of a woman who is servant-hearted. And this is true for guys and for girls. If you're in a state of singleness and you want to get married, becoming a kind of person who is, I've heard it said this, you know, some people, they got a list of who they want to marry. You know about the list? I love the list. Tall, dark hair, great at guitar. You know the list? I remember hearing, I think it was Vic Doss from Watkinsville, one of my good friends. I think he said, burn your list about who you want to find in a spouse and make an even longer list about who you're supposed to be as a spouse. I was like, Twitter, we need to tweet that thing. That's good. So yeah, I mean, we get so preoccupied over who's that one person out there who's going to make my life complete. Well, that's Jesus, okay? If you're looking for that person, that's Jesus. Become the kind of person who's going to be ready and able in a marriage to be able to be a loving and faithful husband or wife. And so during the single years, don't waste them. Jerry, this is going to get personal. Here we go. Jerry used to tell me, because I've known Jerry for many, many years. He used to be my teacher in high school. Jerry and I would go to lunch, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and like blah, blah, blah. And Jerry said to me over and over for years, and you were right, he said, don't waste your singleness. He said, marriage is a wonderful blessing, having a family is a wonderful blessing, but you've got free time as a single person that you're simply not going to have when you're married. Remember 1 Corinthians 7, a single person is devoted fully to the Lord, but a married person's interests are divided between their spouse and the Lord. Not that it's wrong to serve your spouse, but he's saying you've got to spend more time doing regular stuff than just doing kind of missionary type activity. And Jerry said, don't waste your single years. And he told me, he goes, you've got more free time you'll ever have. Soak yourself in Scripture. Like, get to know Jesus in a profound way. Pray more than you've ever prayed. Study the Word more than ever. Spend more time with people in relationships than you ever could or ever would, because this is an incredible opportunity. And I'll put it this way. This is just a fact, and I know this from talking to many people on both sides of the marriage fence, whether single or married. If you're not content as a single person, you will not be content as a married person. And if you're not content as a married person, you won't be content when you have kids and on, right? I mean, this is just the way life is. We always think the greener grass is the next step in life. Like, right now it's like, okay, but I can't wait till I get to college. And then it's going to be awesome. Then you get to college and you're like in an OChem class. You're like, I hate this. I want to go back to high school. And then you get your diploma from college and you're like, I'm going to get a job. It's going to be awesome. You get a job. It's like 7 a.m. You show up at the place. You're like, I hate this. When am I going to get a real career job? You get your career job. You're like, well, it's going to be really great when I get married. You get married. You're like, man, it's going to be really great when I have kids. And then on and on. The devil tells lies, and your flesh will tell you lies, saying that next turn in the road is where joy is to be found. That next point in your life is where everything's going to be awesome. And the reason your life is terrible is because you're not quite at that next turn in the road. And you're going to get to the next turn in the road, like you turn 16, you get your driver's license. That's a big one. You're like, oh, now freedom. And then you have a driver's license and you get a speeding ticket. I'm telling my story. All right. So there are always problems. So the point is, if you want to find contentment, you know where you should look for it? You should look for it in the here and now. Right here, right now. If you want to be a joyful person who serves people, getting married will not automatically save your life and turn you into this incredibly servant-hearted person. It will probably actually reveal how unservant-hearted you actually are. You got to understand this. This is a training ground for the next stage of life. Everywhere we are is a training ground for that next stage in life. And we need to take advantage fully of where we are and what God has put in front of us and live today fully to His glory, and then live tomorrow that way and see this time as preparation for whatever may be coming next for us.